David was a successful businessman, but his personal life was far from perfect. He had a loving wife, Sarah, and a young son, Ethan. However, David's heart was swayed by the allure of a woman named Vanessa, who became his mistress. David's relationships with his family had not been great lately ever since Vanessa came into his life. He was harsh to Ethan and looking down on him, and always threatening to kick him out whenever he did something wrong. David started to distance himself from Sarah more and more. Sarah will try to find some time to talk to David, asking him to spend more time with her family. But it annoyed David more. He told Sarah that Vanessa needed him to be there for her. Hearing this, it broke Sarah's heart. Ethan were starting to get upset with David's action day by day. As time passed, Ethan and David always had a heated argument. David even calls his own son names, which breaks his heart. After every heated argument, Ethan had felt that David had just pushed him further away. And slowly, Ethan has lost his respect for David. One day, Sarah was sick and needed some money from David. Sarah asked him to help her with her medical bills. But David was blinded by his own desire with Vanessa. He told her to settle it on her own. Having no choice, Sarah used her little savings to pay her bills herself. Ethan found out about this. He was very disappointed with his dad, a once loving father, but now a selfish person. But whatever Vanessa asked for, David would buy her anything without asking questions. So, this again makes Ethan very upset and unhappy with David. But Sarah told Ethan to hang on, saying they would get through this. David's infatuation with Vanessa grew stronger each day. He began to neglect Sarah and Ethan, always favoring Vanessa over his family. Despite Sarah's pleas and Ethan's longing for his father's attention, David's heart had turned cold. Eventually, David made a drastic decision. He divorced Sarah and kicked her and Ethan out of their home, choosing to live with Vanessa instead. David and Vanessa's relationship became a gossip and a hot topic. Vanessa knew most people were talking about her behind her back. This makes her feel uncomfortable, while David was struggling to keep his business going. Vanessa's friends who know about her started disrespecting her and calling her a mistress and a gold digger, and most of them distanced themselves from her. Vanessa was feeling very emotional and sad, but she thought to herself, what people said about her was true. Years passed, and David's life with Vanessa seemed blissful on the surface. However, Vanessa began to feel the weight of guilt for breaking up a family. One day, she decided she could no longer live with the burden and left David disappearing from his life without a trace. David's world started to crumble. His business, once thriving, began to falter. Bad decisions and a lack of focus led to its downfall, and soon David found himself broke and struggling to make ends meet. Desperate and lonely, he realized the grave mistake he had made by abandoning his family. In a bid to make amends, David sought out Sarah and Ethan. He hoped to reconnect and rebuild the bridges he had burned. However, Sarah and Ethan had moved on with their lives. Sarah had found a new job and a supportive community, while Ethan had grown into a very successful businessman. They wanted nothing to do with David, having endured years of pain and abandonment. Ethan told David that the moment he called his own son names, threatening to kick him out, and yet he did, and never cared for Mom. Choosing Vanessa over them was his biggest mistake. Ethan looked David right in the eyes and told him that he would never earn his respect again. David, hearing this, was left devastated and a broken heart and full of regrets. David was left to reflect on his choices and the life lessons they brought. He learned that true happiness and fulfillment come from cherishing and nurturing the relationships that matter most. His story serves as a reminder that the grass is not always greener on the other side and that the consequences of our actions can have lasting impacts on those we love. In the end, Sarah has married to a man, Jack, who treated her and Ethan with love and respect.